All right, this is Algebra 3, Test 10B. This is quarterfinal for quarter number 2. Review video part 1, subsection C, paragraph D. All right, our first number up from our picks was question 15. Question 15 wants the sine of arctan 12/5, right? Okay, so first thing up is our coordinate plane, 12 over 5. This is going to go a whole lot easier if I don't have to talk over people. All right, both those numbers are positive, which is going to put me in the first quadrant. All right, arctan is opposite over adjacent, so 12 over 5. Okay, it's asking for the sine, which means we need to find our hypotenuse because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So 5 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 25 plus 144 equals c squared. 169 equals c squared. Square root of 169 is c. So this is 13. So sine equals 12/13. So 12 over 13 should be my answer. Let's see, 15, 12/13. Okay, we good there? Do we understand the process? Okay, take your arctan, go ahead and find out where that's positioned. Look at what I'm looking for, which in this case is sine. Understand what that trig function is actually using, right? If there's a missing part, we're going to need to find that. We can use Pythagorean theorem to find that. Yeah, David? Yeah. Well, I mean, you're thinking like inverse tan? Yeah, ignore the inverse tan of that. Now, if this was saying, what is arctan? 12 over 5. At that point, what I would need to do is inverse tan 12 over 5 to get the degree. But if I have trig function times arc function, okay, ratio, I'm not looking for the degree of it, I'm just looking for the ratio of it. So if it's just arc function ratio, I'm looking for the degree and I'll use the inverse function to find it. Does that make sense? Okay, that's a good question. But you won't be faced with that, I don't believe, on this test. But good to be prepared. All right, the next one is 17. 17, this is a distance, rate, and time question. Okay, and so it says a flock migrated k kilometers, that's distance, at s kilometers per day, that's their rate, s kilometers per day, and arrived 2 days late. So time is distance over rate, so k over s plus 2 because they're 2 days late. Does that make sense? Okay. How fast should they have flown to have arrived on time? So how fast is a unit of rate? Okay, and our rate is distance over time. Our distance is still k divided by, okay, but our time that we want here is k over s minus 2. Right, k over s minus 2 over 1. We're going to multiply that by s over s because we have a fraction minus a fraction where we need a common denominator, right? So I'm just using this black line to break up my work so you're not getting confused there. I'm going to write this as k over 1 divided by k minus 2s over s. So now I can see it as a fraction divided by another fraction. I can't divide by a fraction, but I can multiply by a reciprocal. So I do that rather than just writing it as a fraction times a fraction. I just draw my arrows here so I can see what I'm multiplying. I don't end up having to rewrite. So that gives me ks over k minus 2s. And because this is speed, and my speed is being shown in kilometers per day, that's, instead of miles per hour, it's, KPD, if I wanted to show it that way. Does that make sense? All right, let's check this against Answer key, this is what, 17. Ks over K minus 2S. Like I said, I would do KPD, kilometers per day, or KM per day. Okay, that's my answer. Do we understand that okay? Okay? All right. Let's see. Beyond that, we need number 5. Number 5, write the quadratic equation with a lead coefficient of 1 whose roots are negative 3 and 5. So basically what I'm trying to do is get back to the quadratic equation given the answer. So I'm going to start at the bottom. X equals negative 3. X equals 5. Just because I think you understand it better if you start from the bottom and work your way back up to the top. Okay, I want to get these numbers back over on the side of x. So in this case, I would add 3 to get it over. That would give me x plus 3 equals 0. This would give me x minus 5 equals 0. Does that make sense? Okay, right, then I'm going to take my x plus 3 and my x minus 5, right? And we can see how this would work itself back down to the solution, x equals negative 3, x equals 5. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. 3 times x is positive 3x. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So I get x squared minus 2x minus 15. We can write that as equals 0. And this is what? Question 5? Question 5 needs to be shown exactly like this. Okay? And if it helps you to start, and invert the whole thing, so you're showing x equals negative 3, x equals 5 at the top and working your way down to that answer, that's absolutely fine. We're used to seeing it from the top broken down this way. And so I don't know if it helps to work it from the bottom to the top, okay, because you're seeing the same correlation. All right. Let's see. After that was number 8. Number 8. Blindio watched a scarab beetle crawl through an arc of 60 degrees on a disc with a radius of 100 millimeters. How far did the beetle crawl? How far did the beetle crawl across an arc of a disc, right? So our question here is arc length, right? So we're using 2 pi r because 2 pi r represents the circumference of a circle. I don't want the whole circle, though, because he's not walking all the way around it. I just need the measure of it that he walked over 360, okay, the fraction of it. So 2 pi, I think they told me that the radius was 100, right? My measure was 60 degrees. Oh, I'm sorry. Not equal, but 60 over 360. Some of this could be reduced. Let me take a look at number 8 here for a second and see how they're taking that. Okay, so they're taking it to a decimal to the nearest hundredth. So 60 over 360, that's the same as 6 over 36, which is 1/6. Right now I have 200 pi times 1/6, or 200 pi divided by 6. And I wait till the very end, till I get something like this, before I actually plug pi in and solve. That way I'm not getting an estimation, I'm not rounding, I'm getting as an exact decimal as I can. Okay? So what do you get with 200 pi divided by 6? 104.72. 104.72 millimeters, I think, is the units. And we are going to do a better job of using units, right? We're going to label. Good. All right, number 14. Number 14, we have cosine pi minus sine 3 pi divided by 2 minus tangent 11 pi divided by 6. We're going to go ahead and convert our radians into degrees. So I have cosine 180 degrees minus sine. That's going to be 3 times 180 divided by 2. This is 14. What do you get? 270? 270 degrees minus tan, 11 pi divided by 6. What are you getting there? 330. Okay. 330 degrees. Okay. All right, and they say don't use a calculator, and we shouldn't have to. Cosine 180. 180 degrees is showing up here. What is the x value at that position? What the x value? -1. Cosine represents the x value, right? Okay, 180 degrees is to the left on the x-axis, correct? And because we're using unit circle, we're basing everything on units of 1 on the axis line, right? So do we understand how we got -1? Can we double check that in our calculator? Can we type in cosine 180 and see what we get? What did you get? -1, so we checked it. All right, down here, all right, we have cosine 270. Well, that should be right there. What is sine at 270 without using your calculator? What does sine represent? Is it the x-axis or the y-axis? Y-axis. Where is that position on the y-axis? -1, okay? So, but don't forget to bring down your operation, right? So far I've got -1 minus -1. Then we have tangent 330. All right, so this is unlike what we've looked at. This is here. What's the reference angle at 330 degrees? 30 degrees, which means this is 60. What's opposite to 30? Close. -1. What's opposite 60? Radical 3. And what's my hypotenuse? 2. So tangent is opposite over adjacent, right? So I'm getting -1 over radical 3, but I can't leave it like that, correct? All right, what do I need to do? Multiply by radical 3 over radical 3. That's giving me negative radical 3 over 3, okay? So we're going to go ahead and bring down that subtraction here and this value here, okay? So what we have is this. What's -1 minus -1? 0. So all of that cancels out, correct? All right. So what am I left with? Radical 3 over 3. Positive or negative? Positive, because those double negatives, right? Right? If I plug that in a calculator, is it going to give me radical 3 over 3? No. So do I need to be able to do this? Yes. Okay. All right, well, we're back to number 1. 1, Ian could run 8 miles at 4 miles per hour. Okay, so his distance, rate, and time. This one can be a little tricky. Okay, he ran 8 miles at 4 miles per hour. How long would it have taken him to do that? This isn't in the question, but you need to know it. It's going to take him 2 hours, right? Okay, then let's see, then he ran 4 miles at 2 miles per hour. Okay, how long would it have taken him? 2 hours. Okay, so we got D1, D2, R1, R2, T1, T2. Okay, what should his speed be for the next 6 miles? Okay, speed. Okay, so that his overall average speed would be 3 miles per hour. Okay, so we want his overall average speed to be 3 miles per hour. Well, how could we find overall average speed? Overall distance, okay, so overall average distance or overall distance over overall time, correct? All right, well, what's his overall distance that we know for a fact? We know this for sure. 18 miles, right? Okay, now we don't know how much time this is going to take, right? To run those last 6 miles. So we need to solve for that part, correct? Well, how many hours has it already taken him? 4 plus an unknown, right? And we want that to be what? What do we want that to? We want it to be equal to 3 miles per hour, right? His overall average speed to be 3 miles per hour. So we have 18 over 4 plus x equals 3. Did I lose anybody to get to that equation? Okay, so what do I need to do to solve for? Really what we're doing is we're solving for time right now. What's that? Get x by itself, but really to do that I need to get the denominator out of, I need to get that 4 plus x out of the denominator, right? So I'm going to do what? Multiply by 4 plus x, right? Okay, so I'm getting 18 equals, what, 12 plus 3x? Okay. Subtract 12, correct? All right, so I'm getting 6 equals 3x. Divide by 3, x equals 2, right? So we know that this has to be 2 now, right? So, but our question was, what did his rate need to be? Well, if we know his distance was 6 and it took him 2 hours to do it, what was his speed for the last 6 miles? 3 miles per hour for the last 6 miles. Okay, and what was this? Question number 1, 3 miles per hour. Okay, so you have to solve for time first and then solve for rate on the last set. Does that make sense? Okay, this might be, I don't know that this is one of the harder questions, but I think it can be really difficult if you're not understanding how to get there. Okay. All right, after 1 is 11. Am I going too fast? Because I'm trying to get through as much as I possibly can. 11. Okay, we've got log base 20. 3x plus 9. Minus log base 20. That looks good. At least we're keeping everything in log base 22. Equals log base 20, 12. All right, what do we notice about all our logs? All have the same base of 20, which means I can factor out log base 20, right? What does subtraction become? Division. As I get rid of the logs, it becomes division. Okay, we're solving for x, I believe, here. Okay, multiply by 2 on both sides. 3x plus 9 equals 24. Subtract 9 on both sides. 3x equals, what was that, 15. Okay, divide by 3. X equals 5. We'll double check on 11. X equals 5. Questions, comments, concerns? Nothing so far? Okay. After 11 is 18. 18, CJ can haul 6 loads in 3 days. Faye can haul 5 loads in 2 days. Rate times time plus rate times time equals jobs, right? So we would look at loads per day. 6 over 3 times time plus 5 over 2. Okay, that's her rate. Okay, but notice that CJ, who's our first guy, starts work 1 day before Faye. So he's 6 over 3 times t plus what? 1? 1 plus 5 halves t. We want to know how long it's going to take them to do 20 loads. All right, we could reduce 6/3 to what? 2. All right, so we can take 2 times t plus 1. That simplifies that. I get 2t plus 2 plus 5 halves t, or 5t over 2 equals 20. We could even go ahead and subtract 2. Right, but I've got 2t plus 5 halves t. What does that become? Okay, that would be the same as what? 4 over 2. So 4 over 2 plus 5 over 2 would be what? 9 over 2? 9 over 2t equals 18. I can't divide by 9 halves, but I can multiply by 2 ninths. Okay, so time equals, what is that? 36 divided by 9, which is 4. And this is in days, right? Days. 4 days. Let's see, this is number 18. 4 days. Can we do this? Great. That's what I want to hear. Go ahead and just lie to me. It's cool. 4 4. A multiple choice quiz has 7 questions. There are 3 possible choices for each question. How many different sets of answers are possible? So 7 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one has 3 possibilities. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Anyway, 3 to the 7th. 4 is 2,187. Okay? Is that easier than we made it? Yeah, did anybody do like a factorial or something where you took 7 and 7 times 3 or 3 times 7? No, don't do that. All right, number 9. That would also be wrong. Question was 7 to the 3rd work? No, it won't. That would only be true if there were 3 questions with 7 possibilities each. Okay? So the set, right, how many of something there is my line, right? How many options there are for each one of them is the number that goes in there. Okay? All right, number 9. Find the coordinates of the point halfway between. All right, this is midpoint formula, right? x1 plus x2 divided by 2, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Hopefully one of the easier questions on the whole test, right? We've got -8, 7, and 14, -15. So be careful with negatives. X1 is -8 plus 14 divided by 2. 7 plus -15 divided by 2. -8 plus 14 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Okay, 7 plus -15 is 8. No, -8, right? Yep. -8 divided by 2 is -4. Okay, number 9. Let's check our answer. 3, -4. I'm really feeling like this is maybe one of the easier tests we've had in a while, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see, 10. 10. So yeah, hopefully some of the ones that you were counting wrong, you're finding out that they're a lot easier than you made them. Number 10, log base 87. 4 plus log base 87. 3 equals log base 87. 4 plus x. What do we notice about all our log bases? They're all the same. So what does addition become? So 4 times 3 equals 4 plus x, right? Okay. Don't need that. Okay. What's 4 times 3, gang? I don't know. Is that offensive? Can I say? I probably shouldn't say gang. I'm sorry. 4 plus. Okay. What do I do now? Subtract 4. X equals 8. Are we starting to feel a little silly about some of these?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Addition becomes multiplication whenever I factor out the log. Subtraction becomes division. Okay. Now the term first, so it becomes, if this was subtraction, it would be 4 divided by 3, right? Okay. All right. All right, 16. 16. Here's the point-slope form to find the general form of the equation, which we're not going to do, whose slope is -2 and passes through to -1. So slope is -2. It goes through to -1. So all we have to do is y minus -1 equals -2 times x minus 2. Okay? Y plus 1 equals -2x plus 4. Subtract 1, y equals -2x plus 3. Okay, this is 16. 16. Yeah, I'm going to take this form of the equation. It says double intercept and general form. I just want the y-intercept form. Can you guys do that? Awesome. All right. 19. Yeah, the whole yes, sir thing, the way a lot of people are saying it is super sarcastic and disrespectful, so make sure that doesn't become you. Okay? Let's see, I've got like a minute, right? So you're seeing a graph of the function f of x equals -1 over x. is centered at the origin as shown on the left below. The graph on the right is the same graph translated so that it's centered at negative 2, 2. Write the equation of the graph. So just knowing how graphs work, if I'm moving something to the right, I think that's what's, so it's centered at negative, okay, so I've moved it to the left, correct? So this is going to be x plus 2. And over here, I'm going to do plus 2, okay, because that's going to move it up, right? Let me check 19. Yeah. Okay, so this area down here is going to move me left and right. This area out here is going to move me up and down. And you've got to remember that left is plus, right is subtract. Okay? All right, so I don't even need to look at the graphs. The moment that they told me how far it moved to the left and how far it moved up, right, I knew where to put those things in at. Okay? 19, let's see, the last one, the bell's going to ring. I'm going to stop right there. Okay?